with a history of criminal activity from the late 60s to 1977, arrested for theft, carjacking, and sexual assault. Then, sex workers started to disappear. Convicted, then paroled. Bodies began to surface again. This is a story of Joseph Robert Miller. Hello, happy Friday. Another Friday. Getting ready for the weekend. Welcome to Kelli's Coffee and Crime Chat. This is Kelli, and it is June 9th. Wow. What are we, 1 week in? A week and a half into June. I just forgot what I was going to say. Anyway, welcome to the podcast. I am drinking Java Mama's Blend, also called Mama's Original. I'm drinking the K-Cup version. They are, I'm pretty sure Mama's Original and Mama's Blend are the same coffee. If I'm wrong, they're both awesome. Awesome. I know I've got Mama's, I can't even remember. I think I got Mama's Blend in the coffee, ground coffee, Mama's Original in the K-Cup. To me, they both taste the same. They are so good. And this is probably one of the coffees, if you ever go to the Java Mama site, which I leave in the show notes, you will, it'll have, if you go there and you don't know what to order, this is the coffee that you should start with. Because a lot of people are kind of skeptical with coffee flavors. This is such a good ground coffee. It is very good. And the description and all that is on there. And I will leave the link in the show notes. I am so sorry. I'm just getting tied up in my words here. Alrighty. Now, I ran across our case today sort of by accident, but then as I was reading it, I remember this. The reason I ran across it because I was looking up another guy, and he comes in later in the story. But I just started reading, and I'm like, I remember this case, and I remember it well. It was about 30 years ago. This is Joseph Robert Miller. My sources are Murderpedia, Wikipedia, and findagrave.com. Joseph Robert Miller. Now, he was born with a different last name. I have no idea how to pronounce it. It's Tarczon. He was born on January 15th, 1955 in Illinois. But he was abandoned after birth, and then he was adopted by a couple from Chicago whose last name was Miller. So that's why his name is Joseph Robert Miller. Now, these people adopted him, but they were very strict and they beat him frequently, which is when he started getting anger issues. He even started petty crime at an early age. What I don't get is, why did the people adopt him? I don't know. I didn't find out anything about this couple, their names or nothing. But you're going to adopt this boy and then do this to him. So, I mean, he was abandoned by his own parents, and then this. Well, in the late 60s, and between the late 60s and 1977, he was arrested 11 times. He did things like theft, carjacking, and even sexual assault. But he always got out of them. He always got plea deals. So he would always get out of them because plea deals, they always let him go. Well, he left Chicago in the early 1970s, going back to the early 1970s. He left Chicago, lived in Bloomington, Waukegan, and the state of Virginia, which surprised me. But he settled in Skokie, Illinois, got married in 1977, and he even worked as a delivery pizza guy. Pizza, which I love, oh my gosh, just reading that made me want pizza. It's like, that's my life, you know. But it's really bad. But he was a delivery guy for a pizza company. I'm not sure which one. Now, and this was right here in 1977 when he settled in Skokie, Illinois. Well, October 25th of 1977, a Martha Ryan, who was a sex worker, 31 years old, was reported missing. She was from Chicago. She was reported missing, and she was last seen with a young guy driving an orange Chevrolet Vega. Well, come to find out, Joseph Miller owned an orange Chevrolet Vega. They found her body 8 days later, wrapped in a blanket outside of a liquor store in the bushes, and that was in Skokie, Illinois, not far from Joseph Miller's home. So she went missing from Chicago and turned up near his home in Skokie. He was taken in for questioning when they found that he had the exact same car that Martha was last seen getting into. The next day, police found a 22-year-old sex worker named Ann Maxim deceased. A friend of hers approached the Skokie police, and she said that Miller and Marcia was his wife, which I never found out much information about Joseph Miller's wife, but her name is Marcia. And this girl told them that him and his wife were both used their services, because this girl was also a sex worker, and that she had been with the couple many times. Well, Joseph Miller was then arrested and charged with the two murders, and this was November 5th of 1977. Police found evidence after they searched his car and apartment of a kidnapping in Cook County and aggravated battery in DuPage County. Now, these two were totally different cases. Miller had also been suspected in many murders dating back to October of 1976. Well, guess what happens with this? There was a plea deal. Marcia, his wife, would not throw him under the bus by testifying, which was, wasn't good. There was some errors in their search. You know how you got to go by the book when police search your property. Well, they didn't follow it by the book. So plea deal was in exchange for dismissing the kidnapping and battery charges, which carried the death penalty, by the way, that he would get a lesser sentence if they took that off of the table, which they did, and he was sentenced to 30 years, chance of parole after 15 years. So, and he would serve his time at the Illinois River Correctional Center in Canton, Illinois, which is not far from Peoria. I mean, it's out further than Peoria, but it's in the vicinity kind of area. It's the next county over. Now, while he was in there, he went into rehab programs for sex offenders, and people said he was a model prisoner for good behavior and everything. And he also got a very severe leg injury that left him physically disabled, and he even got a pension from the state for that. Well, he applied for parole after 15 years, which was his minimum time, and he got it. So April of 1993, he got out and ended up moving into a nursing home in Peoria. Never found out the name of it. I was so hoping to find out which one it was. And I can't remember from the case because it was 30 years ago. But that came from an advice from a prison chaplain who advised him to move into a nursing home, which I had no idea that when you're out on parole, you can move into a nursing home. So that was news to me. Had to drink coffee there. Now, people at the nursing home said he was very friendly, talkative, and very energetic, and he attended church regularly with the other residents of the nursing home. He also got work as a day laborer for more income, which actually is pretty smart. That way you can, you have more income coming in, so you do that. So it sounded like he was really picking himself up, making everything better for himself. Well, August of 1993, he was hired for repairs for 88-year-old Bernice Fagoti. A few weeks later, the newspaper guy who delivered their newspaper, he noticed that her papers weren't getting picked up, or her mail, and it was like a few weeks that they were not getting picked up. Now, she was assumed missing after the police interviewed her neighbors and family. So she was missing, and about the same time, 3 bodies were found in a drainage ditch outside of Peoria, and they were all 3 were in different stages of decomposition. They were 34-year-old Marcia Logue and 26-year-old Helen Dorrance. They both were found on September 18th. And then there was 42-year-old Sandra, I cannot pronounce her last name, Sandra L. And then her last name is Seszznegi. She was found the same day she disappeared on September 26th. So she was found pretty early. The other 2 had more decomposition, and the thing is, the last 2 were strangled. Helen and Sandra were found strangled. Helen was missing 4 days, but Marcia Logue, the first one, at 34 years old, she was found gagged and bound. She had been beaten and stabbed multiple times. They were, when I read, it says 3 bodies were found in a drainage ditch. To me, that sounds like they were found in the exact same place. But Sandra was found on the 26th. So I'm thinking the 2 bodies, Marcia and Helen, were found in that drainage ditch together, from what it sounds like. And then Sandra was found in that same drainage ditch, but later on September 26th, the day she disappeared. So, I was reading that, and it just really had me thinking about that. That 2 were strangled and 1 was gagged, bound, and all of that, but they were found in the same place. September 23rd of that year, Bernice's Oldsmobile. Sorry, I wrote old like it was separate. Oldsmobile was found in a lot near the nursing home where Miller lived. So they found Bernice's Oldsmobile, and he was questioned on September 29th. He gave them permission to search his car, and when I read this, it said, and his apartment, but he lived at the nursing home. So I'm thinking that's what they're talking about. He was taken in and read his rights, and then he was interviewed. He claimed innocence. He did not do anything. He was not accountable for any of the murders or Bernice's disappearance. They found a knife in Bernice's car, and it had Joseph Miller's prints on it. He admitted it was his knife, but he dropped it while driving. Okay, was he driving her car then? That's what I didn't understand. It's like, is he saying he was driving her car and then he dropped it? I don't know. But they arrested him in October of 1993 after later charging him with the burglary. And that was the burglary of Bernice's house. They found more evidence that linked him to the 3 murders of the women. Women's clothes, underwear, and sheets with dried bloodstains were in his quote-unquote apartment, because that's what I read was apartment. They also found female hairs and fibers. Bernice's car had dried bloodstains in the back seat. A witness named Sam Voigt identified Miller as the repairman he saw go into Bernice's home on August 28th. A nursing home guard said he saw Miller driving Bernice's car more than once, Miller claimed that it belonged to a friend or some friends. It's like, okay. Well, he also said that he was trying to sell it. Okay, if it belongs to some friends and you're trying to sell it, okay. It's just, his story just gets more strange as it goes on. Bernice's Social Security card was found in the glove compartment. Joseph Miller said that the car was stolen and he wanted to burn it. I don't understand that either. DNA showed the hairs and fibers that they found belonged to the 3 victims. So that's what he had in the area where he lived. They found that DNA. So the trial, he was going to trial after this. Trial moved to Springfield. They wanted to move it to a different venue. He pleaded guilty, but he said it was insanity from multiple personality disorder and if I'm saying that right. It's spelled Dissociative. Something I've never heard of. Amnesia. I have never heard of that. But and from childhood abuse, and they did an evaluation on this, and it was determined that he did have that. Excuse me. He was found guilty, but for the three women, but he was not found guilty for Bernice. And the reason why? She was never found. I don't think hasn't been found since then. The case is closed, but since he has assumed her killer, that's why they closed the case. They assume that he did it, which really everything does point to him. I had no idea that this woman was not found. I remember this being on the news back then, and I remember them saying they still haven't found her. They still haven't found her. And then I forgot what came of it. And now I find out they never did find her. He ended up serving his time at Menard Correctional Center on death row. But of course, that was abolished in 2011 by Governor George Ryan. Yeah. So he abolished the death penalty, and Menard Correctional Center, from what I hear, is a very tough prison. It is down by Springfield. He admitted in 2004 to the murders of two other women, 18-year-old Valerie Sloan and 25-year-old Stacy Morrison. He even told police where the bodies were buried. He told one of the victims' family where her body was buried. But they go there and nothing was found, giving these people hope, and nothing was found. Okay, so they said, well, that's not right. He made this up. And then this other guy that I was talking about at the beginning of this, they believe it to be Arlie Ray Davis who killed those two girls, who was another Peoria kept gentleman. Yeah, right. He's another one. He was the case I was going to look up, or that I was looking up, and then I ran along this one, which had a lot more in-depth story about this guy, because he was put away and then he got out, and then all of a sudden the body started coming up again. So, but yeah, Arlie Ray Davis, they believe, was the one who killed those two girls, but he died in prison awaiting his execution. He had a heart attack. Arlie Ray Davis did. Joseph Miller is still alive. Joseph Miller was ruled out with those two girls' deaths, but of course they remain unsolved. And Miller now serves his time in Dixon, Illinois. I don't know why he moved to Dixon from Menard Prison, but that is where he is from as of last year. That's where he is. So that is the story of Joseph Robert Miller. Again, all this came back to me when I was reading it, and it's horrible, but I was only able to find, of course, his photo, and I will have Bernice's. Now, she was never found, but there's a gravesite for her with a headstone, and I will have that picture up on my Instagram and Facebook. If anybody wants to contact me or join my Instagram, it is Kelly's Coffee Crime Chat on Instagram. On Facebook, we have a group, Kelly's Coffee and Crime Chat, which I post basically the same stuff. I'm a little more active on the Instagram, and I'm connected with a lot of other podcasts. It's wonderful that we all support each other, and it's just a wonderful community. My email is kellyscoffeecrime@gmail.com. My Twitter is Kelly's CCC Pod. And I also have Buy Me a Coffee. And I also have the Java Mama link up if you want to, by chance, look at their coffees. Java Mama is air roasted, never bitter. It is the best coffee I've ever had and is very good for your gut since it's air roasted. And they are green. So that is my episode. I'm trying to figure out what I don't think I've watched much lately. I did, I usually talk about updates if I watched any movies or any TV shows. I haven't watched very many lately. We've been having internet trouble, so I'm having trouble with Paramount Plus coming in and Hulu and Netflix, and I haven't really got, if anybody has anything new, like on especially true crime related, let me know, because there is a new show coming on Peacock with the girl from Big Bang Theory. It's called Based on a True Story. That's the name of it. It's supposed to be a comedy, and they are into true crime, but I don't know exactly what it's about. But it looks very good, and I've got Peacock, but I'm not sure when it starts. I was going to I was trying to think of some other podcasts that I've been listening to. I still listen to my favorite ones. True Crime B&B, Love, Marry, Kill, The Suspended Sentence, one of my new favorites. Awesome. Gosh, there's so many that I listen to that I love. Murder with My Husband, and they also have one called Binged. That's really good. Let's see. Trying to think. I'm drawing a blank. I don't know why, because I got so many I listen to, but I like to shout these out. Brutal, Bizarre, and Boozy is another one of my favorites. I always like the cocktails. The cocktails they talk about, I just love, because I am a cocktail girl. I'm probably going to finish my coffee and then have my Irish Mule. It's the Moscow Mule, but you use Irish whiskey instead of vodka. Irish whiskey, ginger beer, put a little lemon slices or lime slices. It is wonderful. As I said, I'm trying to think if there was any other ones that I've listened to lately. There is one, or there's one I really like, a new one. Let me see if I get this right. I keep wanting to say Sex, Lies, and Videotape, but it's text. Oh, what's the L word in the middle? It's not lives. And videotape. Oh, isn't that terrible? But it's TLV. They do movie reviews, and I love listening to them. They get to the point, and they really talk about movies that some of them I even forgot about. Like, it's like, gosh, I forgot all about that one. But they do go through and binge them. It's TLV, text. I'm going to remember when I get off of here. I know I am. But it comes up as TLV. Like I said, like the show or the movie Sex, Lies, and Videotape, but this is Lives. Never mind. What am I saying? Oh, these guys are going to probably just say, oh, she's not saying her name right. It's Text Lives. It is Lives, because the movie is Sex, Lies, and Videotape. So this is Text Lives and Videotape, I think. Isn't that terrible? And since I'm doing everything on my phone, I can't look. But I should have just wrote it down. But listen to them and binge them, because they are so good. Movies are one of my favorite things. And I did a few back. I think I got 3 episodes on here further back called Watch This, Not That, where I compare 2 movies that are about the same. Or got the same thing going on, like either the same actors or same theme or something. Sequel, And I haven't done that in a while. And I was going to do the Scream movies, because I've seen the last 2 Scream movies. And then there's another movie I watched called Sick that was on, was it Hulu or Netflix? It was Sick, and it's about the pandemic. I'm telling you what, they got some good chase scenes in that movie. I'll give it that. It's not a bad movie. If there's nothing on and you just want something to watch Sick. It is enjoyable. It's enjoyable, but it depends on if that's kind of your thing. I liked it. I thought it had a lot of chase scenes in it, but after a while, it's like, is anything going to happen? They're just chasing each other. They're chasing each other. And then it's like the ball drops at the end. You find out what this whole thing's about. But that's called Sick. And like I said, I watched the newest Scream movie on Paramount Plus because I am a Scream fan, and it wasn't bad. It's not bad. I'd like to watch it again though. I like to watch it more than once just to. I forget sometimes. I forget what happens because once so many sequels are done, you're like, which one was that? Was that 5 or 6? Was it 4? Was it 3? What was it? So, but anyway, that is the episode. I hope I can get something else watched this week so I can have it for next week. I need suggestions also on any Midwest murders or any important cases that need attention. I know I've got one in mind coming that I talked about last week, and I really want to talk about that one. But that's all for today. Have a wonderful weekend. We are heading toward Juneteenth next Monday, so have a safe holiday next Monday. Not the 12th, but the Monday after, and which is the 19th, June 19th. And then we got 4th of July. But I will be back next week with another case. Until then, everybody, I will see you next time.